Welcome back to Absolutely Marvel and DC. My name is Benny. That is Hassan. And today we're going to be talking about The Flash, Season 9, Episode 1. And today's episode is brought to you by Into the AM. Use the code ABSOLUTELY at checkout. Get yourself a discount on your order. And make sure you get awesome designs on your shirts. They rotate them out frequently. You could also get plain blank shirts that work great as undershirts. Or if you just need to go somewhere where, having a campfire might not work well for you. But overall, they're a great brand. I'm a huge fan of the quality of their shirts. And they're actually going to be picking up a few of our other channels as well. So you're going to be hearing more about Into the AM because they're awesome. All right. So today, we're going to talk about the greatest episode of Flash to ever air on television.
Let's preface what this episode's supposed to be. So this is the season premiere, so it's got to be a
of
big
the last
episode.
season, period.
Yes, of an almost 10-year show. 9 years, but 10 years because of COVID and the production cycle, whatever. Right? And that's how we kick it off.
We kick it off with pretty much a standalone episode to get things moving. And what normally you would do with these first episodes is you would set up how the tone of the season is going to feel. So I found it to be a bizarre decision that the tone of the season is going to be Groundhog Day, done weirdly.
Yeah.
It's all about Iris and Barry's relationship and how they need to come together instead of being apart, which is, the overall message of the episode, I just found it to be kind of like, we're 9 years into the show. This feels like they just got married and this is like, okay, now they're learning how to work together. This is not the message we want to kick off the last season with. Like, this is something we've already learned.
I don't want to blow up its spot immediately, so I'm going to talk the positives and then I'll get into the negatives because I do firmly
I have some positives, I do. I'm going over what the overall idea of this episode is first.
I don't want to get attacked in the comments for opening it with some negativity for me because I did that on the last slate of reviews. So, I mean, the shot composition on this looks great. It is shot far better than it has been in years. I don't know what kind of cameras they're using, what kind of lenses they're using. Maybe it's just directorial differences, but it looks a lot more like Superman Lois, which has, like, I don't know if you've seen it, but it looks visually so different from The Flash. The only difference is Flash has more saturation, so they're brighter colors. I prefer it. So this episode specifically, several shots look really, really good. If you guys remember, they did promos for Crisis on Infinite Earths, and then there were like scenes in the episodes that were like shot on like cinema cameras randomly. This looks more in line with that. So I really enjoyed that. Grant Gustin didn't particularly want to be shirtless in a lot of the show. He's talked about that on like a bunch of podcasts and things like that. So we haven't seen like a shirtless Flash in a long time versus like.
Well, he's got body dysmorphia. He said, and it really bothers him. So he doesn't like to do that kind of a thing.
And he's been working really, really hard for a few years now in the gym. I think especially during the COVID era. And I've been watching his journey on social media and stuff. So it's really cool to see him confidently taking a shirt off for a lot of an episode. Honestly, repeat. And it's funny. I bet he only had like, I'm only going to do it for one episode. They're like, so we're writing an entire episode around the fact that Grant won't be wearing a shirt. And they absolutely did that. Not only did they have repeated wake-ups as well as good night scenes with him shirtless, they had a pool scene with him shirtless as well.
I didn't even really notice that he was shirtless to the degree, like, you're hyping on the shirtless Grant Gustin a little bit much.
Because he worked hard for it. No, because you know what, Benny? Because I've heard of his journey. I've recently been watching the Smallville Rewatch podcast, and on it you have Tom Welling talk about how uncomfortable he was with, like, randomly they'll be like, okay, so you're going to walk in the scene, you're not going to be wearing a shirt. He goes, well, why won't I be wearing a shirt? He's like, well, it's the morning. He goes, no, I think I'd put a shirt on because, like, the objectification of male actors, there are times where you want to be shirtless and you want to do a salmon ladder, and there are times where it's like, why are you doing this to me? You're constantly...
They're not all Stephen Amell, all right?
Right, they're not all Stephen Amell, and not all Tom Welling. Tom Welling was, like, jacked during that whole show, too. But I love that Grant Gustin felt confident enough on this last go-around of The Flash. Like, the first scene of episode 1 of Flash is him shirtless in the bed with Lady Gaga music playing, and they're like, and he like wakes up, he's like, what? When did I get lightning gave me abs? And it's like the whole thing of like his muscles are in a chronic state of regeneration. So it's a nice callback, and just proud of the actor, happy for him. So shot composition was good.
I'm just saying it's a weird decision to be harping on his physical appearances.
Yeah, guys, let me know in the comments. Was it weird for me to harp on Grant Gustin looking great? His hair looks great too. Hats off.
So looking at the positives of the episode, as someone who only half paid attention by the end of season 8, I like the fact that it didn't really require me to be fully invested as to what previously happened. They kind of started it up for a fresh start. I did enjoy that. The overall plot, the idea of being stuck in a Groundhog Day loop, I thought was actually not a terrible plot. I just found it weird to be the season 9 episode 1 plot. Like,
yes,
the idea
tremendously
that Captain Boomerang, which by the way, weird decision for casting on Captain Boomerang, not Australian, not even trying to be Australian.
It's because he's not the first one. They already had him.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I was going crazy, man.
Yeah.
Because like he's on there, and I'm like, wait, didn't we already do him? 2, if this is the first appearance of him, bear in mind this is 9 seasons of the show. I'm like, 2, if this is the first appearance of him, why are we using Captain Boomerang on the You're like, what a weird decision, and I couldn't remember. But I was like, I swear he's been on the show, but I could not place it.
He's in the very first Flash and Arrow crossover episodes. So he's who they're fighting during, I believe, the Arrow plot of that episode. Because there's this really great, it's like one of my favorite scenes of CGI where Oliver's fighting and Barry comes in and he does this like spin move and grabs both the boomerang and like spins out of scene.
Okay.
And it looked visually like great, and they don't do that anymore. So yeah, he was in the earlier seasons. He's not anymore. New guy just has his tech and wears his suit.
Right. Okay. That makes a lot more sense than me sitting here trying to be like, I swear they've used him at some point. Because I assumed he was a throwaway villain. Like they hadn't, because obviously there was no big plot where I would remember Captain Boomerang. I'm like, he had to have been a throwaway villain for something.
And I think this character is based on like the guy's son in the comics.
Yeah. Well, yeah. In the comics, there's like 3 of them, I think. 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah.
There's a few of them.
You know, they've gone through like different variations of like Captain Cold, Rainbow Riders. They've done legacy rogues in the show, so it only makes sense to keep going down that path. But yeah, it was definitely interesting to have him be the villain, especially because they're building towards him working for Red Death.
Yeah, which is an interesting. I also loved that Red Death was standing there, and to show off that he's a speedster, they had him run a circle. I was like,
I don't.
The cliffhanger would have been fine. Yeah, like it would have been fine at the ending if he was just like vibrating there talking to Cat. Why did he? Oh man, by the way, if you forgot how powerful I am, Captain, let me just do it. Let me do a lap. Let me do a lap.
Oh no, it looks so bad. But no, the actor who was Captain Boomerang was great. It was Richard Harmon, who's in a lot of CW stuff. Last time I saw him was in the 100. He's really good at playing these like skeevy little ass that you want to get rid of so badly but can't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it was awesome on screen.
I liked the angle with Captain Boomerang, having him in there. I thought that was fun. I liked. I mean, that's pretty much what the plot. The whole episode felt like a COVID episode because Barry really wasn't like. And I know that they're not doing this anymore, but Barry wasn't really interacting with anyone but Iris. There was like these small individual scenes that he's trying to learn the lesson. Yeah. But it felt like that because it was such a Barry and Iris centric episode. And I go again. It just felt like a weird. Like I don't think the episode is bad. I know you're not a fan of the episode. I don't think it's a terrible episode. I just feel it's a weird season 9 opener. But it feels like they're trying to remind you. Okay, so the core of our story is the Barry and Iris storyline.
That feels so weird to me because they are actively aware of the reception of the show, and that I don't know. They're obviously stans, right, who are like busy on Twitter making Iris West meme accounts, whatever, right? But I think the vast majority of viewers are specifically, they like the show. If they like the show, it's in spite of Barry and Iris's relationship. So it feels like a very bold and I think unwise decision almost to open with setting the tone of this is going to be another season about them. Because last season excelled in one way. They used several different plot contrivances to get rid of Iris very early on.
Which at the beginning I thought we were going to do again, actually. Because the plot turns into, for those who don't know, the plot is basically Barry has made a journal which is going to map out their entire lives, which I thought was a cool plot idea because they know so much about the future. I'm like, well, yeah, this makes sense. Yeah. She's against it, which I also thought was the way she acted for that was dumb as
so awful and off-putting because they give Grant, which like, Grant is at his best when he gets to do this on the show, when he's not serious, whenever he's like, yeah, I'm the Flash, let's do this. And he's like having fun. And he's like, oh my God, tomorrow might be the day I get the job. Yay. Yeah. And he's like so excited. And then Iris is like, Barry, I don't want to talk. Let's go to bed. You're trying to map out our future and you're taking away my free will. Yeah. And you're trying to make it so that I'm this multi-millionaire Pulitzer Prize winning reporter with 2 beautiful kids and my husband's this hero. But what if I don't want to take the multi-billion-dollar investment? Barry, it's like
The scene that got on my nerves related to her attitude with that. Like the attitude in general, I was like, okay. But when she decided that instead of taking the deal, she would prefer to be stuck in a Groundhog Day loop. That's when I was like, okay, how forced can you make it feel just to be like, we got to do the plot?
You can't even do it in a fun way, and like there's motivation for it. Like the motivation isn't lacking, right? You can have the weight of like, I spent the year in the Mirrorverse, and then I spent half a year with time sickness away from you, and I am not ready to give away this thing that I just started building. It's growing so fast, but I just started building it. Like there's not a real relationship with Central City Citizen and Iris because they just don't write it well.
Right.
They've never done it. They just have her show up. Because if you remember, in season 1, she gets a job as a reporter, and it kind of builds. Like, she's getting kind of good at it. She likes doing it. And then they just jump the shark. She joins Team Flash. She goes, you know what? I need something new to do. And then she just starts a multimedia company.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't feel, it feels foolish. It feels like a foolish plot thread, and we're leaning into something that it's mind-bogglingly silly.
I didn't mind the eepisode overall. I guess the big issue for me was just for the sake of the plot, Iris decides they need to stay in the Groundhog Day. Yeah. Because she doesn't want to accept the multi-million-dollar deal. Like, they couldn't even make it a situation of like, well, Iris, if you accept this, these are the terrible things that are happening. It's literally like, yeah. Iris, you're crying about success. You're getting offered multi-million dollars. And your argument is, I'd rather be stuck in a time loop than take multi-million dollars.
Yes, which also...
What?
This is the first episode where they show the house as often as they've had like 1 or 2 sets that are Barry and Iris's house. They are rich. They are rich. They live in a metropolitan area equivalent of New York with a loft.
Yeah.
And that loft has a master bedroom suite that is so big, it has room for a king-size bed, a sitting area, a desk, and then behind the king-size bed,
it's a whole camera
fucking
crew.
walkway. A whole walkway.
Oh, you're going walkway? I was going camera crew.
There's a camera crew. But like, I don't know about you, but I have a king-size bed, but it is against my wall. Imagine having a bed.
We don't want to talk about how big my master bedroom is.
I don't want to talk about it with you, but okay. But it's ridiculous to think that they
I have one with a sitting area and a TV area.
Okay, those are great. But generally speaking, people usually put a bed against a wall.
Yeah.
The room is so big that they're like, okay, we can put like a bookshelf behind our bed, and then walk. It's crazy. It's obviously, it makes sense in line with the show. The reason they're so rich is that Barry inherited all of Star Labs stock from Harrison Wells. So that's why they're rich, which is a very stupid plot point, mind you, because don't make all your characters billionaires. It makes writing stories where there are plot contrivances hard. But they actually, it's like a very beautiful apartment, and they show it very often this episode. I need the emotional beat to hold on more. Like, we needed the Iris building Central City Citizen over like 5 seasons to where we understand her relationship with this company.
Because I remember the season. It was like 3 or 4 when she got the company, and I was like, oh, they're finally going to do something with Iris. The problem is we haven't seen her do anything. Central City Citizen, it just shows up when they need a plot device. That's the issue.
And they show up when they need a plot device, and every time it shows up, it's always like, we're up 12 points in the market.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we're getting bigger than we've ever been. Iris, this is our most viewed episode. Rather than showing it through the narrative, like if you world build what Central City looks like, you could show how Central City Citizen is growing via, outside influences on the show rather than constantly like exposition. So because of that, when Iris says, I want to live in Groundhog's Day, it doesn't resonate. Yeah. Also, it's funny that Barry probably died 58 times and Iris just drank wine and ate blueberries instead.
Yeah, that's
Barry
gonna be like
literally dying.
Like I'm trying to get on board with Iris because obviously the way this episode is set up is they want this episode to be the Barry Iris relationship, and I get that. That's been the heart of the show this whole time, due to the network, due to the showrunner, everything. Fine, I get it. I can be on board with that. But they did nothing to make me like her decisions in this episode. Like, Barry's trying everything to break this loop, and she's over here like, well, I just don't want to make multi-million dollars, so just reset everything.
I feel like there was an effort made by some writer or producer to make her unlikable, and it was probably, like, CW writers and directors have gotten flack, and I know there's one guy that was definitely Me Too'd for harassing the female actors and giving them storylines to make them unlikable so that they were not well received. I know that happened to Emily Bett Ricard with a lot of...
I didn't know that.
It was a big thing. It was with Andrew Kreisberg, who's no longer a part of any of the productions, but he was a big part of it early on. So that's it's like who's doing that to her? Because I feel like Candace Patton doesn't want to be there. Like,
Well, we know that she almost quit. Remember, they promised her a bunch of money to come back for this last season.
Oh, why did they do that? We had it out. We had it out. Like, they killed her in the finale, and it was awesome. And then they have her in this pocket dimension with Damien Dark, and it was awful.
Anyway, let's get back to the actual episode before you go on another Iris rant, okay?
No, it's not Iris. It's the show. It's everything, Benny.
So
it's everything.
How did you feel about the way it opened with Molten Lava Guy? Because I almost turned off the show right away when they decided that everyone was going to get a hit in and make a quip that was terrible. Like, I'm so happy that just turned out to be a dream.
Yeah. Anytime Cecile is on screen and using powers, I'm usually cringing. So, like, immediately as you saw her using her new telekinetic gifts, because I don't know if you watched the end of last season, Ben, but it ends with her becoming one of the most powerful metahumans the city has ever seen.
I thought she already was there, though.
No, she was a metahuman who softly had powers because her baby might have been exposed to dark matter, and then the powers grew, and then she became the avatar of a bunch of the forces, and then she took a bunch of other people's powers away, and then it's very silly, and they just use her willy-nilly.
Oh, I know. They've always done this. She's always been the crutch of...
And it's funny because when that actress was initially introduced, she was really, really good. It was really funny. She was a breath of fresh air because she was like a Joe storyline that was really...
Right, but that was my problem with Cecile because of the issue they had with her is this issue they have with everyone on the show. If anyone joins the cast, they need to get powers at some point.
Yeah, but... And also, this cast is too big. I don't know why...
Well, they showed us the core, the opening. It's Allegra, which you know you love. Chester.
I like Chester.
Iris. I like Chester. Iris, Flash, Cecile, and Joe. Like that's our core now. Like that's what we're gonna focus.
Chester
I felt like that was the point of the intro.
Yeah, it was. It was, and then you have the MacGuffin at the end of like the
because if they introduce more cast members on the last 13 episodes of the show.
yeah, and it's like even who they have introduced, it's like it's all Eric Wallace original characters, which really does break your heart. Of like. Imagine a final season of The Flash where Eric Wallace is never showrunner. It would probably be a Cisco, Barry, Caitlin season.
Oh, yeah, Caitlin was there too. But we don't know what the hell's going to happen with
that wasn't Caitlin. That was the stinger that ended the final season was, wait, who are you? You're not Frost. You're not Caitlin, right? They have the guy opening this cryo chamber or whatever because he's trying to revive Killer Frost who was killed. Yeah. And
they
she's
still didn't say who it was.
Queen.
I was like, okay, cool. We're going to find out who this is now. And they're just like, so who are you?
Well, she's Hot Topic Queen, Benny. She's blue hair, Hot Topic Queen. She's Killer Caitlin or Caitlin Frost or whatever you call it. It was hilarious. It was genuinely funny.
Dude, because I saw the reveal before. I saw the reveal before. I was literally like, all right, cool. We're going to open it. No, why are we still teasing it? Just say who it is.
Because it is written by an idiot. And I'll say that, and if it gets clipped and sent to him, sorry, man. I think you're really awful at writing shows, Eric Wallace.
I noticed this, and I don't remember the blonde guy's name, the guy that did it all. What's his name? That character?
Which blonde guy? Oh, the stupid guy who's dating her.
Frost?
Yeah,
he's in the intro now. He's in the intro.
Yeah,
he's a main cast intro guy. Like his image came across as they gave his name when they were going through the cast.
Okay, well I don't want to talk about that. That's
Why
okay.
not?
I'd like to because he sucks.
He got promoted.
Stupid.
He got
He's
promoted
a stupid
to main
character that
cast.
did nothing. It was so dumb. He was like a murderer.
Chill Blaine. What did I call him? Dan can tell you. I called him like Chill Bro or something like that when I was doing the reviews.
Chill Bro. Oh god damn it.
It's Chill Bro. So Chill Bro is now a main cast member because he's on the thing.
It's just so dumb. It's such a big waste of time. Whatever. It's a silly show. Let's just have
so
fun.
Overall, I actually didn't mind this episode. I don't think it's great. I don't think it was a good note to start the season on. I don't.
It's terrible. It was terrible. It was a terrible episode.
The problem is, in my opinion, it was just one of the forgettable ones because it's stuck at a Groundhog Day.
It's a filler episode.
Yeah, it's a filler episode to open the season.
Yeah.
Which I was just kind of like, what a weird decision. You didn't set up, like, all the setup, the new Mysterious Frost, the Red Death reveal, all of that was just thrown into the back half of the episode as like the stingers instead of us being like, let's focus on the season. No,
it blew my mind that they have such an abbreviated season. A show that's used to doing 23 episodes, doing 13 is a big deal. They're consolidating budgets potentially. The episodes will be higher production value, and they choose to have their bombastic season opener as this. an episode that you guys know what you've been waiting for years? Chester and Allegra are going to kiss this episode. We all know that everybody's been wanting to see Chester and Allegra
You know what the worst part was?
What?
The worst part was about that? They're like, they're finally kissing. And I'm like, all right, right. That was from the erased timeline. And then they're like, both like, oh no. And I'm like, oh, so we're going to do a will they, won't they for the last season still?
Yep. And what do you call it? I went to Dragon Con or something and walked by, and I was like, there was so many actors, and I was so excited to see them. And then in a little corner was Cecile and Allegra, and I was like, I'm not going there. I went and I shook hands with Daniel Panabaker, and I walked away. I was like, I watched this show so long for it to be just mind-numbing, because now Cecile...
You're so angry over this. You're
Benny,
so
You don't understand. You don't understand. For you, I'm the comic book guy. I watched The Flash. I had nothing. I watched it for joy. I watched it for pleasure. Not only would I watch The Flash episodes, because I think I'm going to say this in this episode before Benny cuts me off because you're ranting too much. For the people
do your
who are gonna watch
thing.
me,
This has been your review show for a year now.
Yes, it has been, and I feel like I've been really mean about it. But you guys have to understand, I loved this show. Okay, I watched every episode as it was airing. I skipped out on dates in high school specifically. I canceled 2 dates because I was like, well, Flash comes out on Tuesday nights. So I literally moved hell and earth because it was so important to me to watch it because I loved it. I loved it so much. I loved it for years. So when I'm crapping on it now. I'm on it now, and it's because it is genuinely so awful. And at some point, it was good. And people can say, well, maybe you were just younger. I agree some things were just bad, but I went back and watched some of it recently. It holds up. It genuinely held up in a way that the new stuff just doesn't. So I have
the first 5 seasons are still, I consider, some of the best superhero TV show stuff we've had. Like in an era where we weren't getting anything, the first 5 seasons, like they had their problematic areas, but the show didn't turn into the meme it's become until like 6, 7, and 8. Like. Right. And it's only in the more recent years that it's become more of a hate watch than a watch for enjoyment for most people.
Yeah, I think one was great all the way through. 2, I think they just went with a very weird premise, but I liked it. I was okay with it, but I think that they went with the wrong. They made the wrong decision plot wise, and it hurt the show. But also, you have the issue with CW shows inherently is that all those actors are waiting for their big break. They're working on the show, but they so badly don't want to work on the show.
Right.
Unless you're a main cast member. So like Robbie Amell in the season 1 finale, Firestorm wasn't supposed to die. He wasn't. But Robbie Amell really wanted to go do movies. So he left the show. He was offered a series regular role. And I think that affected the path of the show because that's the first time that like they wrote it and they had to deviate. Now they kind of write storylines with interchangeable characters purposefully. So that you have Chester is just Cisco, right?
Oh, that's all he is, yeah.
But you know who he is even more? He's Mr. Terrific. He's Echo Kellum from Arrow in the last 3 seasons.
He's everything.
He is a black super genius comic book adjacent character who will sometimes be out on the field doing stuff, but more times is behind the scenes. And
I like Chester too.
I think the actor's fun. The actor's really good, and he does well with what he has, and he's like charismatic. But he is just Cisco, right?
Oh yeah.
So they created
the best thing they did was when they teamed up Cisco and Chester. I was like, this is great. I liked that.
Oh my god, it was a one-off episode, and it was great. Where they went to the past and they like hung out in the 80s.
That was great. I love that. They have such chemistry, those 2 actors.
And Carlos Valdez just wanted off the show because he just didn't feel like it was worth his time. Not in like an arrogant way, but it's just not good. It wasn't good writing. He didn't feel like he got any serious things, and they kept circling him in these circle drain storylines. But I'm gonna watch this season optimistically. I will say there's no hate on Candace Patton, but I do feel like she doesn't perform in the show, and whether that's because of the writing or whether because of acting, it's up to whoever wants to see that. This isn't like a women hate scenario. I think some of the stronger elements of the show has often been Daniel Panabaker's Caitlin Snow or Killer Frost. So I'm hoping that they redeem it and that we do get to have a lot of fun. Eric Wallace recently talked about everything he would do in season 10, and we had everything from Forever Wars, Blackest Night to the formation of the Justice League is what his plans were. So after coming out with statements that bold, he better tighten his pants and make this season worth watching. Because at the very least, it's the last season. You will have viewers who left 4 years ago, 5, 6 years ago, coming back.
Oh, yeah. You're going to have a lot of people come back just to see how it ends, kind of a situation. Yeah. Most people that are coming back now, it's going to have an amazing season because a lot of people fell off back in 6 and 7, but they want to see how it's going to end.
Yeah.
Like, very few have stuck it out the whole way like the rest of us have, you know?
If I wasn't if I didn't suddenly become paid to do this a year ago, I was done. I hadn't watched The Flash in a year because I'd been so just like jarred by their story decisions and their repeated villains and their constant speedster villains and then whatever. I wasn't going to keep watching it. I was like, I'll pick up the big episodes and the crossovers because I think they're fun. And then Benny was like, hey, you're on The Flash. So I reviewed The Flash.
Pays to be the boss.
As a kid, it's all I wanted to do. I watched Emergency Awesome. I watched SourceFed Nerd, Only Stupid Answers, all these guys who would review Pagey. Every episode would come out, and there'd be 4 people that dropped a review of it, right?
Yep.
And I would watch all 4 reviews. Every single Tuesday, I'd watch The Flash. Wednesday, I'd watch all the reviews of The Flash. And that was like a literal cycle of my life. So it's fun to finally get to do it. I'm sad it's of a season that is a little lackluster. But
okay, let's get back on the positives though. I let you have your rant, okay?
Thank you.
This is your review. It became your review show, so people probably aren't clicking this expecting Hassan to suddenly be happy. But let's go into the big cliffhanger, the Red Death thing.
Have you seen the suit? Have you seen what it looks like?
I haven't seen the suit. I've seen I know what they're doing.
So,
I know it's not what you want. What any of us want it to be. And
spoiler,
in their defense, they can't do what everyone wants. You know what I mean? They can't.
In their offense, why not, Ben?
They can't use Batman.
Yes, they can.
No, they can't. That's the issue.
They can. That the embargo's done. They're allowed to use him. Use him.
They're still not allowed to use Batman right now.
Batman was on, what's it called? It was on Batwoman. Bruce Wayne is like a main character of that show now.
That show ended. When I didn't watch that one. That one I'm not.
No. Okay. So we're just gonna.
He was not on that show. Hold on.
Yeah,
I thought he wasn't. It was just why they're using Batwoman.
They did Thomas Wayne, or they did Thomas Elliott, and they had him be fake version of Bruce Wayne, and then they literally just brought the actor back to play actual Bruce Wayne. I didn't watch it. I watched a little bit of it. Okay, now the actress. So spoilers alert. I don't know if they've announced this. I think they did, but Batwoman is Red Death,
right?
And it's not Batwoman Kate Kane.
I thought it was like pseudo. Well, yeah, because of the whole Ruby Rose fiasco.
But they recasted her already. There is a different actress playing Kate Kane now.
Oh, they brought back. What? Why did they do that originally?
Because they're stupid. Because they are stupid.
So they realized having somebody else be Batwoman meant that eventually we still needed Kate Kane to come back.
Because, once you build an entire season and show around an actress, when they just disappear for no reason, it's stupid, and you have to. So they recasted her as somebody different.
I can't find the Red Death suit. I'm finding the announcements that she is Red Death.
So the thing is, the suit leaks of the Red Death suit are non-CGI suits. I imagine for a character like this, you're really going to lean into CG.
Oh, yeah.
They look horrible. It looks like a Roblox character.
Yeah, I was like, wait, this boxy suit is it? I thought this was fake.
Yes.
Oh.
It is it. Red Death, which, by the way, that's probably the last. It was when Dark Knight's Metal or whatever that series came out, was one of the last really excited. At the time, I was really excited for comics, and I was buying every book. So I have that holographic cover, and I love it, and it's somewhere in my parents' house. But I love that character. It's a really cool concept, and they're not doing that. They've been hinting at Red Death for 2 seasons now on The Flash, and the reason they've been doing it is because it's such a popular character and it's such a popular design. But yeah, it's gonna be ass.
Well, I mean, the suit aside, with enough CG, this will look fine. You could CG this, okay?
Sure.
And I've got some thoughts on the suit. I don't want to go into them on here, but
we have a place for that.
Yeah,
so we'll
but
talk
overall,
about it
okay. So I'm excited to see how this is going to resolve. Good or bad, I can't make that call on this episode. If it all has this tone, it's going to be like, all right, it's over, and that's the end of That's the Flash. Right now for me, this is it's a passable episode. It just feels weird that it's the first episode out of a 13-episode spread for the finale. That's what feels weird to me.
Yeah, your boy is going to be... so I'm going to give it one more episode of my undivided attention where I'm just going to be watching it. And then if it's this level, if it's a story that is this monotonous instead of it being about a superhero show, I'm going to play Fortnite while I watch it. Straight up. I'm going to put it on my iPad, put it on the little ottoman in front of my TV. I'm going to hold a controller and play Fortnite while it's going on the side. Because right now, that's the quality. It's how I watch Modern Family. That's the quality we're giving.
Modern Family was great.
No, Modern Family's been amazing. We can talk about that another day because I watched 3 seasons of it in the last 2 months and I've loved it. Stephen Amell is coming back, and Kean Lonsdale is coming back as Kid Flash. And
so is John Diggle's also. They've released that set photo.
So with all of that, I am excited for that stuff. Anything else? We'll see. I know there's one thing for me to be excited about this season, and for those of you who are loving the show, right? You stuck to the end of this 30-minute rant of me hating on it. Keep loving it. If this was fun for you and this is some of the most entertainment that you've received, don't let idiots like me or if Benny gets angry at it later, which he will because the show sucks, don't let us bog you down.
I always look for positivity, man.
You do.
I don't
Yeah,
look
you're
for
such a
negativity.
positive guy. I don't want to hear it. Don't let us diminish the value on it because there is stuff to love. And if you're at the right age and you're of the right personality type, this show is amazing. And the show is worth watching every episode. It's being excited about. Stay excited. Watch these reviews and hate watch our reviews while the same way that I'm hate watching the show because you deserve to have fun. And that's that. That's as much as I want to say about it. But yeah, that's it for me.
All right, we're going to wrap up today's episode. We'll be back next Thursday with another review because Hassan's going in all the way. He's going all the way in.
Yes, I am. This is that. It's that time again, guys.
All right, thank you. We'll see you guys next time right here at Absolutely Marvel and DC.
The Flash.
You had so much to say.
It'll do well, so it's fine. I knew this video was going to do well.
Real quick for the thumbnail.
I can tell you right now what's
Let's
wrong
do a
with that
smile.
suit.
I'm going to do a smile. Okay.